We live in a world of noise. Notifications tug at our attention every few seconds. Our minds bounce from one distraction to the next. Our calendars are full, our thoughts are scattered, and our souls are restless. We move faster, want more, scroll endlessly, and somehow feel emptier with each passing day. In Stillness Is the Key, Ryan Holiday argues that what we crave, what we desperately need, is not more hustle, more input, or more ambition. It's stillness. Not laziness. Not quitting. Stillness. The kind of grounded inner peace that leaders, artists, thinkers, and warriors have sought for centuries. It's the calm at the center of the storm. The clarity that cuts through chaos. The power that emerges not from motion but from mastery over the self. This book is not just philosophy. It's a guide. Holiday draws from Stoicism, Buddhism, Christianity, and modern psychology to make one timeless truth painfully clear. If you don't learn to cultivate stillness, you'll lose yourself in noise. But if you do, everything changes: your work, your relationships, your happiness, your impact. Stillness is not optional. It's essential. Part 1. The Mind. Stillness begins in the mind. Before we can act with grace or speak with purpose, we must first quiet the storm inside our own heads. This doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. And it starts with self-awareness. Master your mental inputs. One of the first steps toward stillness is learning to guard your mind. What you allow in, through media, people, conversations, and even your own thoughts, determines your clarity. Most people overconsume and underthink. We read every headline but understand nothing deeply. We follow dozens of voices but lose track of our own. Holiday urges us to take an audit. How much time do you spend absorbing noise? How often do you pause to reflect? Are you feeding your mind with timeless wisdom or with clickbait chaos? To develop stillness, you must curate your mental diet as carefully as you would your physical one. Read fewer things, but better things. Choose timeless over trending. Insight over outrage. Practice journaling and reflection. Another tool for cultivating mental stillness is journaling. Not for performance, but for clarity. Holiday, like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and countless other greats, sees writing as a form of therapy. When you write down your thoughts, your worries shrink. Your ideas sharpen. Your mind slows down. Each morning or evening, take a few minutes to write. What am I feeling? What did I learn today? What am I grateful for? What am I avoiding? This ritual is not about volume. It's about presence. It's about taking ownership of your mind instead of letting it run wild. Journaling turns thoughts into tools. It transforms emotion into awareness. Avoid ego and the need to prove. One of the greatest enemies of stillness is ego, the constant need to be seen, to win, to be admired. Ego demands attention. It fuels anxiety. It whispers, "You're not enough," unless they notice you. Holiday makes it clear, ego is the enemy of peace. Stillness is found in humility, in doing the work quietly, in not needing recognition to validate your worth. When you detach from applause, you become free to act with integrity, free to focus, free to serve a mission bigger than yourself. Greatness doesn't scream. It whispers. It listens. It acts with presence, not performance. Say no to busyness. Busyness is not a badge of honor. It's often a sign of lack of clarity, lack of control, or lack of courage to say no. Holiday argues that many people fill their calendars to avoid facing themselves. They confuse movement with meaning. But true stillness comes when you reclaim your time, and with it, your mind. You don't need to do everything. You need to do the right things. Learn to say no. Learn to cancel the unnecessary. Learn to protect white space in your day, because creativity and wisdom are born in the pauses. This is not laziness. This is leadership. This is focus. Be present, not perfect. Perfectionism is a lie we tell ourselves to justify paralysis. It whispers, "You can't start yet, it's not ready." But stillness is not found in control. It's found in presence. In being here. In doing what you can, with what you have, where you are. Holiday reminds us, life is happening now. The mind that is constantly chasing what's next cannot appreciate what is. And a mind that obsesses over what went wrong cannot learn from it. Stillness invites you to be fully in the moment, with your work, your relationships, your breath. That is where clarity lives. The case for stillness in a distracted world. This first pillar, the mind, is about more than mental health. It's about how you live. Your mind is the gatekeeper of your reality. If it's cluttered, anxious, and overstimulated, even success will feel hollow. But if your mind is steady, calm, and clear, even adversity becomes meaningful. Stillness is not silence. It's control. It's choosing what to focus on. It's the ability to step back, observe your thoughts, and respond with wisdom instead of impulse. It's the habit of asking, what matters right now? What would my highest self choose? In a world that tells you to be louder, faster, and busier, stillness tells you to be clear, present, and grounded. And that, Holiday says, is the beginning of everything good. Part 2, the Spirit. While stillness begins in the mind, it deepens in the spirit. This part of the book asks not how we think but how we live. What are we rooted in? What do we stand for? What gives us peace when everything else feels uncertain? Ryan Holiday reminds us that even when our minds are calm, we can still feel lost if we lack meaning. Stillness of the spirit comes from anchoring yourself in values that don't waver. It's the deep well you draw from when the world pulls at you in 1,000 directions. It's the ability to live aligned with something bigger than yourself. Live by a code. Every great leader, thinker, or artist that Holiday highlights had a code. Marcus Aurelius lived by his stoic values. Churchill stood by courage and duty. And Frank clung to hope and decency even in the darkest conditions. They weren't perfect, but they were principled. To find stillness, you must decide who you are, not when it's easy but especially when it's hard. What do you believe in? What will you not compromise? When you answer that, you begin to build what Holiday calls an inner citadel. A fortress of character that keeps you steady, regardless of what happens outside of you. Practice forgiveness. One of the great truths in this section is that you cannot feel peace while holding on to bitterness. Stillness and resentment cannot exist in the same soul. And so, forgiveness becomes a key to freedom. Holiday tells us stories of incredible forgiveness. Lincoln forgiving his enemies after the Civil War, Confucius teaching his students to let go of offense, and athletes who rise above personal betrayal to play with grace. The common thread? They all chose peace over punishment. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's power. It's deciding that your future deserves more than carrying the weight of the past. It's choosing not to be defined by what someone else did to you. It's releasing yourself from the loop of anger and stepping into stillness. Embrace humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. Holiday describes it as a superpower for the spirit. When you are humble, you stop comparing. You stop performing. You begin listening more, learning more, and living more authentically. He shares how John F. Kennedy, after the Bay of Pigs failure, took full responsibility, not because he had to, but because that's what a real leader does. That act of humility restored his credibility. It grounded his presidency. And it showed the world that even the most powerful must serve a higher standard. Humility brings stillness because it removes the pressure to always be right. It silences the need to prove. It returns you to a place where service matters more than status. Make time for stillness. In a spiritual sense, stillness is not just the absence of activity. It is the presence of awareness. It's carving out time for solitude, nature, meditation, or prayer. Not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Holiday walks us through the habits of great minds, how Mr. Rogers took time daily to be silent, how Thich Nhat Hanh found peace in walking meditation, how Churchill painted to reflect. They didn't retreat from life. They created quiet pockets inside it. We are not meant to be connected 24/7. We are not designed to react constantly. Without silence, the spirit shrinks. But when you slow down, the answers often find you. Have a purpose beyond yourself. Ultimately, Holiday argues that spiritual stillness flows from serving something beyond your ego. When you work only for yourself, the victories feel empty. But when you serve, a cause, a mission, a legacy, even the struggle feels sacred. He invites us to find our why. Not in grand terms, but in quiet clarity. Why do you create? Why do you lead? Why do you endure the pain? The person who knows their purpose can stay still even in chaos, because they're aligned, not lost. Spiritual stillness in daily life. This part of the book makes it clear. Spiritual stillness is not just for monks or saints. It's for you, in the way you parent, build, love, and lead. It's how you treat the people who can't offer you anything. It's how you speak when you could explode. It's how you hold your center when the world spins. When you live from the inside out, not outside in, you become unshakable. When you prioritize peace over pride, humility over hustle, and meaning over noise, you find the stillness you've been craving. It was never out there. It was always inside. Part 3, the body. You can have a calm mind and a clear spirit, but if your body is neglected, you will struggle to stay grounded. In Stillness Is the Key, Ryan Holiday makes a powerful case. The body is not separate from the soul. It is the vessel through which peace becomes real. Without care, without discipline, without rhythm, your body becomes a liability to your stillness. This final pillar brings it all together. Because a restless body creates a restless mind. An exhausted body clouds the spirit. And so, to master stillness, you must treat your body as sacred, not for vanity but for vitality. Honor sleep. It begins with rest. In our achievement-obsessed culture, sleep is often dismissed as laziness. We glorify late nights and early meetings. But Holiday pushes back with force. Sleep is not a weakness. It is a performance tool. It is emotional regulation. It is mental clarity. It is everything. He points to the routines of successful leaders, thinkers, and athletes, many of whom protect their sleep with fierce loyalty. Eisenhower slept 9 hours a night during World War II. Arianna Huffington built an empire on sleep advocacy. Even Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds himself that rest is natural and necessary. If you want to think clearly, feel deeply, and act powerfully, protect your rest. Design a routine. Remove blue light. Unplug. Honor the wind-down ritual. Because sleep is not the end of the day, it's the beginning of tomorrow's stillness. Fuel your body with intention. The next step is fuel. Holiday doesn't promote strict diets or obsessive trends. Instead, he speaks of awareness, of intention. What you put into your body directly impacts how you feel, think, and act. And most people live completely disconnected from that truth. Stillness is compromised when your blood sugar crashes, when your body is inflamed, when your brain is foggy from processed junk. It's not about perfection, it's about alignment. Eat to energize. Eat to sustain. Eat to support the mission you're here to fulfill. The key takeaway? Discipline equals freedom. Don't eat to numb emotions or escape boredom. Eat to feel alive. Because you cannot access deep wisdom when your body is in survival mode. Move with purpose. Holiday emphasizes physical movement as a gateway to mental and spiritual presence. Not to chase aesthetics, but to anchor yourself in the moment. Stillness does not mean stagnation. It means deliberate movement. Presence through motion. Energy that is cultivated, not burned out. He shares stories of legendary thinkers who walked for clarity. Nietzsche walked to write. Darwin walked to think. Steve Jobs walked to meet. These weren't workouts, they were rituals of renewal. They restored focus, grounded emotions, and brought the body into harmony with the mind. You don't need to train like an athlete, but you do need to move. Yoga. Walking. Stretching. Breathing deeply. Lifting weights. Sprinting hills. Anything that pulls you out of your head and into your breath. Movement is medicine, for the body and the soul. Avoid addiction to stimulation. One of the most subtle enemies of stillness is overstimulation. Coffee to wake up. Sugar to keep going. Alcohol to wind down. Screens to distract. Drugs to numb. And over time, these things aren't just habits, they become prisons. Holiday speaks honestly about addiction, not just in the clinical sense but in the everyday sense. Addiction to social media. Addiction to hustle. Addiction to novelty. These patterns erode physical peace. They flood the body with cortisol. They trap us in cycles of craving. The solution is presence. Simplicity. Choosing less but better. Cutting out what drains your nervous system so you can return to your natural rhythm. That's when your body becomes an ally, not an enemy. That's when you stop reacting and start restoring. Create rituals that anchor you. Stillness is not an accident, it's a ritual. And rituals are rooted in the body. Morning routines. Breathwork. Tea ceremonies. Gratitude walks. Sitting in the sun. These are not luxuries. They are anchors. They bring your body back to center no matter how chaotic the world becomes. Holiday reminds us that rituals don't have to be long or complicated. They just need to be consistent. A walk at sunset. 5 minutes of deep breathing. A few minutes journaling outside. These practices create space. And in that space, peace enters. The truth is, our bodies are always communicating. They tighten when we're off path. They lighten when we're aligned. The more still you become in your body, the more you hear what your life has been trying to say. The integration, where mind, spirit, and body meet. With the mind calm, the spirit aligned, and the body grounded, something profound begins to happen. You stop chasing. You start choosing. You stop reacting. You start responding. You don't need to force or control. You simply act from stillness. Ryan Holiday's entire argument is this: greatness does not come from constant motion. It comes from clarity, from space, from reflection, from quiet. The people who make the biggest difference, in business, in politics, in art, in family, are the ones who slow down enough to listen to what matters. Stillness is not inactivity. It is mastery. It is living on your terms. It is being present enough to experience the full depth of your work, your relationships, your purpose. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing what matters, without noise, without ego, without exhaustion. And here's the paradox. When you find stillness, you don't slow down. You accelerate. You become more effective, more decisive, more creative, more fulfilled. Because you're no longer acting from chaos. You're acting from clarity. Conclusion, the call to slow down and step up. The world will not slow down for you. It will keep buzzing, flashing, pinging, demanding. But you can slow down within it. You can wake up and take a breath before you take action. You can shut the door, sit in silence, and remember who you are. Stillness is not something you wait for. It's something you create. Daily. Deliberately. And with practice, it becomes your superpower. So take the walk. Write the page. Turn off the screen. Light the candle. Say the prayer. Watch the sun rise. And choose stillness, again and again. Because in that stillness, everything you've been chasing is waiting for you. Thank you for listening. If this summary helped you, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. New voiceover-style book breakdowns are coming soon. Until then, be still and move forward with clarity.